Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Bajetti Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee requires balance.
Welcome back to Work-Life Balance with Kara and Maggie.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we have Eddie Brawner with Communications Components with us today. Thank you so much, Eddie, for being with us.
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Glad to be here.
We appreciate you being here and excited to learn from you today.
Yes. So I have to say right off the bat, this is kind of funny because I didn't realize that Maggie's dad and you were frat brothers, right?
Fraternity brothers.
Fraternity brothers. So how fun is that, like full circle, to now be sitting on a podcast with the daughter over here?
Is it weird?
It's pretty rewarding, but I actually go back to Uncle Brett, who I actually met first.
She's met Uncle Brett.
So,
they came, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The fall of 1981, Brett and I pledged the same fraternity, and then years later, Frank joined with us, and I consider Frank very dear friend.
I love that.
And well, he bounces all over the place, so it's not surprising that he just popped in out of nowhere.
He's hilarious.
He's something.
He's funny, and he knows everybody, and he connected us with, well, I think you and then your wife, who's on the podcast as well. So It's been good. He's connected us with some amazing people, which is the power of networking and connections, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're in sales, and we're excited to learn from you about that too. But tell us kind of about your background, how you got where you're at.
Well, it's a diverse background. I grew up the son of a graphic designer, creative director, and so when Dad graduated Western Kentucky back in 1960, he chased Mom here to Nashville, and they got married, and so we became the Nashville Bowling Green family.
Oh, wow.
And Dad got to work early on in the publishing end of printing. So he was graphic designer creating work for Methodist Publishing House at the time, which is now where the W Hotel is downtown Nashville.
Oh, wow.
So our family has been all around graphic arts production, from the design side, the photography side, the printing side. And so
Very creative.
yeah, when I went to college eventually, I crammed 4 years into 5 at MTSU, and I came out of school with a Bachelor of Science in English.
Oh.
Which is kind of odd to have a
Yeah.
business degree in the liberal arts community, but they wanted me to graduate. So I was looking for a career, didn't know which way I was going to go, talked to Dad quite a bit. He was a great mentor, and he said, if you go into the supplier side, I've got ability to help you. I've got ability to, not just through my company, but through friends and all. And so if I go to work for an agency, I'm either going to be a competitor or, I'm going to work for an agency that maybe he's associated with, maybe not, an ad agency. And so went to work in the printing industry. And, Nashville, everybody calls it Music City, but it's really Printer City. If you go back to Music Row, go back to the Printer's Alley, all the publishing, all the religious publishing, the AME Church, the Thomas Nelson, Lifeway, all the different publishers, they fed a huge printing community. So I went to work for one of the biggest printers in Nashville at the time and stayed there 24 years.
Wow.
And it was a great career. It was a lithographics printing company over in Donaldson. I am a McGavick boy. Go Raiders.
Yeah.
And so working for lithographics, I had a great number of mentors that taught me not just the print production side and the sales side, but just how to be a good business person, to be honest first, care about serving others, and it'll lead to hopefully a good career. Yeah. That's 35 years ago. And so about 12 years ago, after suffering through a divorce, I needed to change what I was doing. And so instead of working for one manufacturer and shoving everything through their equipment, basically everything we did went through one plant. I developed pretty broad knowledge of actual print production, and not just what we did, but in opportunities to broker out other work that we didn't do.
Okay.
And it made a career path change at that time, 2012, and became a broker, and took my knowledge base and my client base. My client base is very close. I've had some clients I've been with for my entire career, 35 years. We've buried parents, we've birthed children, we've been to weddings together.
Yeah.
And I'm very sincere when I say they feel like family. I believe in people trade with people they like. If you're if you're on the same path together, if you feel like you're both aligned with a common goal, my business mantra has always been: if those things are lined up, then the answer is yes. What's the question?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And that served me well. So there's the basics of the business, of what I've done.
Yeah, well, and they're all staying with you because they see the loyalty and the future with you as well, right? So it's totally a two-way street on that.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a business of what have you done for me lately. It's what have you done for me forever.
Yeah.
And I think my track record is pretty strong. I think my client base would witness to that, saying that I've over-delivered, under-promise, over-delivered.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. I don't ever make anything, I don't make any assumptions. I've actually got a young staff I'm working with now that are joint communication components back in January that are all young ladies. And as a father of 3 daughters and a knucklehead son, I'm all about girl power. I'm all about my daughters.
Yeah.
And how can I help them? Well, these young ladies are filling that void for me in a roundabout way, because I don't see my girls much. They're all grown women and got lives and business and husbands, and but being able to give back to them through the people who trained me and taught me business ethics and also just understanding the production specs of any given it.
Right.
What's the next widget we're creating?
Okay.
So there's a lot to be said for that training that I was given as a young man, and how it also relates to my Boy Scout career. I'm an Eagle Scout from my youth. My
Sharon
son's an
told
Eagle
us
Scout. I've been around Boy Scouting a long time, and what we teach them translates to business. And so that's, again, filled another void. I retired as Scoutmaster 8 years ago. And
My goodness.
so,
You took it all the way.
yeah, it's
Tell us about that journey a little bit. Because I did Girl Scouts when I was like really, really
Same.
young. But I
sold
kind of
the
got out
cookies?
of it. Yeah, sold the cookies, all the things. But I never stayed in it long enough. But I know my grandmother, she was really, you might know this about her, but she was really, really big into that. And my family was too. And I know it taught them a lot of things, but I've never really understood like the journey of
Girl
that.
Scouting is a different scenario, at least over the last, forever. The last 10 years has changed, because now that we've engaged girls in Scouting BSA, it's a different opportunity for young ladies now. But forever, my personal opinion has always been that Girl Scouts was really well served to a point. It was peer level, though. Everybody that started a new troop as a young Brownie or Daisy, that group stayed together their entire life. Mm-hmm. And so there never was a chance for the older girls to be involved with the younger girls, per se. Right. Boy Scouting, though, it's a total different game. Boy Scouting is about leadership development. Not only all the different opportunities for potential career paths in the merit badge system, and the opportunities to do all kinds of training opportunities, but it's the leadership. When an 11th grader is talking to a 6th grader, there's a difference in their mentality of a 17-year-old boy and an 11-year-old boy.
Sure.
The 11-year-old boy will listen to him quicker than he will a grown man or a grown lady that might be a leader. So Boy Scouting, again, is a path that I wanted to get involved with when my son Daniel was a first grader. Okay. Because, and I made a statement then when I became the Cub Master and then became the Scoutmaster eventually as he progressed. I didn't do it for him. I didn't do it for me, and I didn't really get involved for all those other boys. Yeah. I got involved to give back to those that did it for me, because I had some fantastic doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs that were our Boy Scout troop leaders. And go back to Miss Johnson, my first grade Cub Scout leader.
Yeah.
And
incredible mentors for you.
I felt very, very much obligated. And as an Eagle Scout, you are obligated to do your duty to God and the country and to help other people at all times. Well, that was my opportunity to give back. And so it became a second job, second career as a volunteer. We Scouters laughingly say, and I got paid double time on the weekends.
Really?
Well, when you're a volunteer, you don't make any money.
Make any money.
So,
I'm like, did you get to go camping and you got paid? No, you got paid in return of,
yes,
I guess, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, but anyway, so Boy Scouting is a very close to my heart.
I love it.
So again, I take a lot of pride in the young men that now are dads that have grown up, and I've got several doctors. I've got several that are Marines, Air Force people, servicemen, and so to see those guys now at 27, 28, 29, pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
rewarding.
So you attribute most of your leadership skills, for sure, coming from being an Eagle Scout.
I see it in them. Yeah. They've all attained pretty high career paths already in a short window. So again, I'm not that old, but it is fun to see those young men now coming up and say, my name was Mr. B. That's what they always called me, and to see their children, pretty cool.
I love it. Okay, so going back to the business side a little bit, what exactly is your role at Communication Components, and what do you do in that role now?
Print production is my baseline. That's my forte. It's what I've done my whole life. So when I say print production, I'm talking about ink on paper, brochures, catalogs, business card, letterhead, envelopes, anything that has a way to communicate your brand is what I do.
Okay. All promotional products.
Well, promotional products is a whole other a whole other line of business. But yes, that's very important to what we do because, again, to me as a printer, we had some pretty difficult jobs over my career. We've won some pretty major awards in our industry through my client base coming up with the design. And I always told them, if you think it, I can ink it.
Yeah.
So that's my...
That's good. That's a good motto.
And so that being said, there was a lot of challenges that we had to meet to create the next it.
Sure.
Well, that palette, if you will, of a printed flat sheet, to wrap it around a coffee mug, to put it on a T-shirt, to make a banner or a display, that's the same idea from my production brain that it transferred very well from printing flat stuff to printing what is it?
Right.
Is it a bobblehead or is it a coffee mug? Again, I keep using the basic one, the pen, the ink pen. That's what everybody uses. Sure. So to me, it's the same drive for what are the exacting specs? What is it that you want to create?
Right.
And so at Communication Components, we make your brand talk. That's what we try to make every day is deliver, for our major clients, which we've got some pretty major clients. Stanley Black & Decker's a big one.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Cub Cadet, of course,
That's a big one.
All the A.O. Smith brands, the water heater company up in Ashland City, they have about 5 or 6 brands. And then, of course, my client base, Tennessee Farmers Co-op's been with me since day one.
Okay.
They were my first client I ever called on in January of 1987. And to this day, they still are very close. Okay. And they're a large client. They have several joint ventures that we serve. There's a new healthcare company over in Green Hills area, Wellvana. Okay. It's a big new healthcare company that we're doing quite a bit of work with. So our goal, like today, I'm working on probably 100 different SKUs, code numbers, items, whatever you want to call it, from direct mail to print collateral, brochures, to trade show giveaway bags, pull-up displays, banners. Again, it's the old church song is what I say I do. Okay. Remember the old deep and wide, talking about Jesus' love? Well, that's what we do. Our business is very broad and very deep inside that width of what is the next, and I keep using the term it.
I know, I love it, because what is it? It
is it. Do you need some neon signs? Yeah. Do you need a whiteboard with a logo on it?
Yes.
They think it, you can ink it.
That's exactly it. Yes, ma'am.
I have to ask, though, because I feel like I'm old school as far as, like, I like to read a newspaper. Like, I like a tangible paper, right? Yes. So everything now is like they're reading the newspaper online and whatever. Everything's kind of moving to, well, it's been moving to digital, right? So have you guys pivoted a lot in that sense, too? Or are you still kind of back in the, pens and papers and notepads and, has it changed a bit?
There has been a definite compression of the industry. Yeah. It's just the way the world has changed. The QR code in itself is something that you don't think about, but you take that little innocuous little square and scan it, and it opens the world up. So, it's changed a bunch. It's still viable. It's very much live, very much viable.
That QR code has to be on something.
Has to be on something, yeah.
Well, we have it on our business cards. I mean, we utilize it, and it's...
Yeah, and even then, business cards, my wife and I, as you talked about Sharon earlier, she has one that's the little... It's a chip card that they've got now called...
the metal one?
Yeah. And so she has one business card. And I keep saying, honey, printing pays a lot of bills around our house, so you shouldn't be going away from it. But it's just a natural progression.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. I mean, we do give our business cards out, but I've had a lot of people say, you still do that?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
And I'm like, well, are people throwing them away? Are they keeping them? Or, I have a stack of business cards on my desk in there. Sure. But I'm a paper person, and I think it's my generation. She's half my age, so her generation is all, digital. In fact, we were just doing a training on Monday morning, and my other gal that's younger, everything was, let me take a picture of it, uploaded it, now she had it on her PDF.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, here's, everybody gets it, everybody gets a piece of paper, and let's go through it, you know?
Well,
So,
no, wait a minute. You said Maggie was half a story. Are you 15?
yeah, pretty much. But thank you.
Did I tell you I'm in sales?
She looks my age, dang, doesn't she? But I do have a question to piggyback off of that one. So, okay, so you mentioned direct mail and a bunch of other ways that you do this. What do you think, or what have you found is the most effective as far as like people and prospecting and actually getting their name out there and it providing an ROI?
That's a good question.
Investment in the piece is really like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You know, what makes you happy? What's your love language that you like to give out? I've got a pen that I like. I give out pens daily, and they're a $2 pen. I went to a meeting yesterday and dropped $20 on the table and didn't think twice about it because they're going to use that pen that I have vetted and I've been through 1,000 different possible options, but it's the one I like.
Okay.
And I sell thousands of them because it's the sample sell mentality in what I do. Mm-hmm. So what's the most effective piece? I can't tell you a demographic or a study that tells you exactly what that is. I know that I get a lot of direct mail in my mailbox every day, and most of it goes right in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
So, and I print for, thinking back about, again, one of my mentors earlier on, his famous line was, Eddie, we create colorful yet informative landfill.
It is true. I throw away a lot of stuff too.
So again,
Do you look at it?
I look at it, and it goes into the recycling bin. So again, I'm a fan of all of it because I do all of it.
Right.
Which the most effective? Yeah. Again, you've got to find your love language. What
For you,
works
it's a pen.
Yes, ma'am. For me, it's the pen. Yeah, it really is because it keeps my brand in front of your client until it runs out of ink, and then they ask me for more.
Okay.
Gladly provide them, and then eventually they say, "Hey, can we do this with our logo on it?" Sure, you can. Glad to help.
And a good pen is a good pen.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll keep it.
You will. And we just talked about that because we have a marketing event coming up. And we're like, what is something that they're going to keep and not toss? And, you know, because we did koozies, loved koozies. People love koozies. Everybody has a cocktail and they want to put something in there, right? And that was a hit. And they keep it. But it gets very expensive.
Yes.
On certain things. And, you know, you're trying to keep your marketing budget down. So trying to find the most effective yet feasible way to get your brand in front of people
It's tough.
is that little hotspot.
In the promotional product industry, they look for cost per impression. How many dollars did you spend on that and how many times does it get seen? Okay. And therefore, you can then come out and extrapolate what is that cost per impression. One of the best pieces that I know of, again, not only the pen world, but you go in your junk drawer and see how many thousand pens do you have.
Right.
You know, but are calendars of all things because, again, being a flat sheet printer guy, commercial print guy, we've learned years ago that the first calendar you give out, first one that you receive from a bank, from a co-op, from whoever, a ball team, whatever, the first one you see is going to go on your wall. Mm-hmm. And everybody else after that goes in a drawer, does whatever. So it's the first calendar out. So that one sticks on the wall. It's 365 days out of the year, and there's your logo every day. So your cost per impression, if it costs you $1, divide it by 365, you're less than a penny an impression, basically. So
that's a good idea. I haven't thought about a calendar.
Well, you did the Titans game, which was kind of a calendar with your card
like
on
a
it.
schedule.
You just stick a magnet on the.
Certainly. That's the same idea. You're getting something that's going to get looked at.
Okay.
And you get inundated in your daily walk. Every one of us gets inundated with thousands of logos in front of you, online, on TV, driving down the interstate, in your mailbox. It's just which ones connect, which ones you actually do something with. Which ones has a call to action? That's always been something I've looked at is that if it's something that's here in my hands, I look at it, okay, great. But if it says, if you do this, then we'll do this, and then we'll transact that, that's the call to action part that is really necessary. And as I said on the front end, I'm not on the marketing side, but I deal with it every day.
But you deal with it.
So it does by osmosis. I've kind of absorbed a lot of it. But,
and you've been doing it for so long, too. Yeah. You've got to know all the parts for it to all come together, too.
Yes, but which one's the best? Again, depends on your market, truly.
It depends on your business.
If you're in the carpentry business, you give somebody a tape measure, they're probably going to have your logo in front of them a lot.
Right.
True.
You know, if you're dealing with a doc, he's not going to want another pen. He may want a stethoscope or a badge reel or some way to have his lanyard that allows him to go in and out of the medical facility.
Yeah.
So it's broad.
But it's just so important. Yeah. Marketing is just so important and something I think we all try to do, but it's just like you said, you got to be effective with it. It's got to hit your market. and then hopefully you get something in return.
What's your ROI? You're talking about going to an event recently. Trade shows are a wonderful, wonderful business. It's a wonderful thing to go and attend. But what's your follow-up? They're not worth a darn. As a company, if you pay for a booth and go and be at a ladies' event and you've got people or whatever the event might be, if you go to that and get all these leads and all this lead generation that you've brought back to you, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, you better follow up.
You got to follow
over and over and over until somebody answers the phone.
It takes it takes 7 no's to get a yes.
Yep.
That's old school selling 101.
Yep.
It takes 7 no's before you eventually get a yes. So again, what's your follow up plan?
Yeah, you're right.
That's very true. And how do you keep it organized and things like that, which is heavy on our side too, is just keeping everything organized. You don't want to leave anything behind. And I think that's all sales too. Right. But if you have any advice as far as like sales in general for young people, I mean, we do a lot of prospecting and things like that. We get a lot of no's before we get yeses. So if you have advice as far as just the sales industry in general for young people or people that are in it. But
well, again, I go back to what I counsel my scouts, and I told the young ladies that work with me today is that it takes a lifetime to build good reputation, to build a stellar reputation. It takes that long to lose it.
Oh my gosh, you sound like my father. He taught me that from a very young age. That's
it's
exactly
true.
it. Yep.
Integrity in business is everything.
Everything.
I'm flawed. I am no man. There's been one of us walk this earth that was perfect, and it's not me. But I think I have maintained my entire business career. That's the most important thing to do is integrity. If you're transparent, if you know you've got a problem in sales, say it now. Provide a solution. But if you've got it, in my world, it's delivery time.
Yeah.
It's either quality, delivery time, budgeting. If I'm off on a budget, that's my fault. The client generally doesn't have any issue with that, but or doesn't have any concern. It's my issue.
Yeah.
But if I know I'm going to be late on something, I call the customer that moment. Don't wait till you're late to tell me you're late.
Sure.
Tell me when you know you're going to be late. But again, the transparency side in business and being honest, it goes back to what I said. If we're aligned on the same path and we both want to, I want you to succeed. We can succeed as a team. So I think the other key thing would be don't look at the dollars. Everybody in sales thinks, these salespeople, they make all the money. If you focus on the money, people see it. People, it's a shining beacon saying, I'm here for the money. That's not what I'm here for. I've done real well in my career. I've had some big years that are pretty humbling for me to look back and go, wow, I had a big year.
Amazing.
But I never bragged about it. The only person I ever bragged to was my dad. And I would tell him gladly, and he would just be blown away, like, you did what? And
proud.
But again, the day-to-day churn of my business is a little different than probably real estate business, especially, or anything that's a long play sales cycle.
For sure.
Mine is daily. We're popping popcorn, what I call it. We're frying the fish we've already caught.
Yeah.
We're moving things through that have maybe started 2 months ago, but because of the production cycle, takes a little while to deliver. And so I don't really ever I do look at my monthly reporting. I have a responsibility in my company to look at our sales forecasting and where are we going to goal. But mainly, to me, it's about delivering the next project in time, in budget, with good quality.
Yeah.
If I do those 3 major factors, that's the old line of quality, service, and price. For sure. Pick any 2. That doesn't work anymore. That used to be in the printing world, especially. That was a factor.
Yeah.
Quality, service, and price. You can either have a real good price, but you're not going to get it fast, and it's not going to be. It's going to be okay quality.
Yeah.
You could just pick any 2. Well, now that's demanded of us on every job.
Yeah.
You got to be in budget. Again, if we've done something wrong, we've had a flaw in our budgeting. Clients really don't have much of a care in that matter. That's on you. The quality is obviously a demand. You have to have good quality, or have a reason. A legitimate reason of why your quality is less than what you had proposed.
For sure.
There's manufacturing flaws in everything I do. There can be flaws. It's how do you address those?
Yeah.
And then the delivery schedule, it's better.
Especially now.
Yeah.
It's better to be fine and on time than late and great.
Yeah.
You've got some great mottos.
I know, doesn't
I'm
he?
write
Just
them all
little
down.
taglines in
I
there.
love it.
I had a
That's
young
so
man.
good.
Had a young man that worked for me back in my former company, and he called them Eddieisms. I have Luke.
Eddieisms.
Luke, if you're listening, Luke Hatfield, great guy. Anyway, and that's something. I guess that's probably been a key tenet of my sales career. Is I'm sincere, but I'm who I am. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I know I got a dad bod. I know you young gals.
Oh my gosh, stop.
But at the same time, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I try to maintain brand consistency.
Yeah.
What I bring to the table is what I got.
Yeah.
The humor side, I always say, I'm a middle son, Aquarius salesman from the 60s. I just want everybody to get along.
Yeah.
I want to deliver what makes you happy. Yeah. If I can make what you're happy, I've done my job. If I make a little money on the backside, great, that's my job. That's what, I mean, I don't do this for fun. They call it a hobby then. This is not a hobby.
It's not a hobby. Yeah. Still got to pay some bills. But I can, just sitting here with you for the last 30 minutes, like you already, like, we can see that. You give off that. We can tell you're a good person. You speak very clearly. You're very honest. I mean, I get that vibe from you sitting here with you. So, yeah, all your employees and people work with you would see that for sure.
You can see ingenuineness immediately.
Yeah. If anybody takes anything from this, I hope they just understand that it's been a life to do this.
Sure.
It's not been easy. There's times that I'd like to have been told a little white lie or maybe bent the truth a little bit, but I learned a long time ago, if I tell one lie, I got to tell about 10, 15 to cover it.
Yeah.
And I'll forget what I said.
100%.
It's just easier to be truthful.
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
Just tell the truth.
Don't go down that
And
path.
just deal with the consequence immediately.
And again, when we start this whole conversation with, it takes a lifetime to build that integrity, to build that credibility, and it takes that long to lose it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's something for everybody to take away, is that exact same point. And I was raised by that. So you be the good person, be truthful, be loyal, be honest, don't cheat, still lie, and you'll be fine.
And we've all got a boss. We've all got a boss somewhere. Somebody, you answer to somebody. In my case, I have an ownership group that owns our company, but every one of my clients, I tell them, you're my boss. You're my supervisor. What can I do to make you happy? I don't know how many young ladies in my career I've had the good opportunity to meet that have been a receptionist or a front desk person, and they eventually get given some responsibilities to handle the letterhead in the envelopes or whatever. And I always tell them, if you'll listen to me, I'll try my darndest to make your boss happy with you. And if I can serve your needs and you make him happy, you'll get promoted. You'll move up the ladder. As you move along, I'll just be right there in your coattails making you look good.
Yeah.
I'm the guy behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I've always said, I'm the guy behind the curtain. If I can make Maggie look good, I've done my job.
Yeah.
I love that.
To your boss.
Yeah.
Because they said, we all got somebody above us.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's so
Very
good.
true. But to bring it back to that, it's like you said it perfectly, and kind of a way that we hear all the time now is people you like, know, and trust. So, I mean, you exude that vibe, and just have that about you. And you can tell immediately. And when you walk into the door, if somebody's being ingenuine or, total white lie or whatever the case may be, you can tell. And I think whenever you're doing business with anybody, really, it's like if you are there for the money, you don't have to say that. It doesn't have to be like known, but
they see it.
They don't even have to really know that, but their actions will be different than they were if you weren't. So,
well, that's our daily with real estate.
yeah.
I mean, we walk in, it's first impressions, You meet random people, and then you're showing them a home, and how you look, how you speak, how you behave, that's everything right off the bat.
Yeah.
And if you're there with the wrong intentions, our clients for sure see it. I mean, so we always say it's about customer service, it's about building relationships, which is going to take us on the longevity of real estate because we look for referrals down the road. Or, we did a great job for you. Will you send your brother over? Will you send your friends or whatever? So it's, for us, it's hands down. That's the root of this brokerage.
You kind of have to be a chameleon, though. You really do, because in sales or anything, you work with so many different types of people that you kind of have to be able to conform and make people feel comfortable and feel like, even if it's the first time they've ever met you, like they know and trust you right out the gate, because then that's how you keep that relationship. Because if you can't get past the first meeting, then what'd you meet for? So
well,
like you said, follow up.
There's the old saying of when in Rome, do as Romans do. Daddy used to always say, just hunker down, meaning get to their level. Whoever you're dealing with. If it's the farmer that's out on the back 40 and I've got to go talk to him about some signs he needed for an auction, I'm going to speak his language.
Right.
I'm going to sit in the boardroom with doctors and lawyers that are there for the healthcare company that are going to have some different language that I need to speak.
Right.
You just, and the chameleon side is a perfect example, but at the end of the day, don't change.
Yeah.
Stay true to you. People like to be around successful people too. If you're knocking it down and you're doing really well, there's a reason you're doing that. I want to be part of that.
Right.
I want to associate myself that are successful.
For sure.
If you're a grumpy Eeyore, remember Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore?
Of course.
Oh, every day was just a cloudy day. Well, they don't want to hear that. They got enough of that in their life. They want to be around somebody that's a little bit buoyant, a little bit happy, a little bit joyful, still professional, still deliver what you're supposed to deliver. But the life's easier with a smile. Yeah. And
So true.
I'll tell you another tip for your listeners on sales. The time to cold call, the time to really be out pushing for new business is when you're buried, when you're slammed, when you've got more than you can say grace over and you don't have another bit of bandwidth. Start cold calling, because it doesn't last always. That busy season, it doesn't always last. And also, the customers you're cold calling, if you're starving, if you're rolling up and you don't have anything going on and you're beating their door down every day, they can tell.
Yep.
I learned that from a guy, S.A. Habib, one of the principals at a creative firm here in town. And he was fantastic about staying out bird dogging, out cold calling, out in front of people. Always. Don't matter what I got in the back room.
Correct.
We've already sold that. I need the next
For sure.
quarter's work.
Absolutely.
We say
'cause
that
it
all the
dries up.
time.
Time to be prospecting is when you're busy.
For sure.
And you're so correct, because they read right through it. Like right now, we've had a great year. We've been busy, but you can tell when the lenders start getting slow, because now my phone is nonstop, and it's like,
Hey, what you
where
got?
were you at 6 months ago or a year ago when
Yeah.
the market was crazy and y'all were busy? You forgot about everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we read right through it. So even when we're going crazy, she's out door knocking still. We've got all our leads that she's still calling or we're calling. And so, yes, 100%. That was a good point.
I think
it does
very
I
good
think
point.
another point to take away again, and like I said, how much time y'all got?
I know. We just like to chat. We like to chat.
Treat employees or treat your prospects like a ladder.
Okay.
I learned this from an old sales guy that I worked with forever. CEOs up here on the top, janitors down in the bottom, and they're in between everybody else up and down the rungs of the ladder. Treat them all the same, because that guy that's the young intern, somebody's going to be your client.
Yeah.
That janitor might do you a solid someday about helping you do something you need done. The CEO's wanted blessing all the budgeting, doing all this important stuff as far as the company's concerned, but treat them all the same up and down the ladder, because what's the old saying? The people you step on the way up the ladder are the ones you're gonna be bumping your ass on the way back down.
God, you do have some good ones.
It's true, though.
Oh, it's how
It's
you
so
treat them all.
true.
You treat your colds like you treat your hots, because we have our cold leads, warm, hot, and we learned that at a conference we went to. You treat your colds exactly like you treat your burning hots.
Yeah.
Because they could flip real quick.
And I can tell you just from experience, after hearing that, this was about 8 months ago when we heard that. And ever since then, I've been treating them all the same. And some of those super dead colds have turned into hot super, super quick.
And those hots turn
like-
cold.
Yeah,
real
and those
quick.
hots turn cold super quick.
yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely helps. But we say that all the time. Like you said, you have to be consistent in what you do on a daily basis as far as prospecting and keeping up with your currents. More on the real estate side, but still with production too. It's like you've got all of these irons in the fire, but if you take the one biggest iron, which is prospecting, out of the fire, then you won't have any more after those are all dull,
Yeah, because every job to each person that I work with is important. They need it. They call me for a reason. Well, if I get a little too big for my britches and I'm dealing with these big clients and I don't have time to respond to the guys that's an equally important need,
Right.
they go elsewhere. Because somebody wants to treat them like a king or a queen. They want to show you the love of delivering your project on time. And so I've had it happen to me. I've had it happen recently. Complicated job, a little bit out of my vein as far as production. It was really a unique project.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really spend the time and bandwidth on trying to figure out what they needed, because they didn't know what they needed.
For sure.
And I sent an email to the client yesterday, I guess it was, and just said basically, hey, just checking to see where we are, if you made any movement forward. And they had made a decision to move forward with somebody else. And all I could do was say, well, I'm glad to hear it's gone well. I'm glad you got what you were looking for. I'm sorry I wasn't able to deliver. I'd like to see the end result and learn from what they created, because it was a tough project. It was, and I don't rarely ever do that. But again, I did not have the bandwidth to be able to go and spend the days to figure out this product. Right. It was a decent piece of business, but it's not going to make or break me. I just was followed up though with the
Absolutely.
thank you for the feedback.
Right.
Feedback is a gift you give to the receiver. Feedback is important of knowing, did I get the job or not? Okay, great. But if not, tell me what your success was, or tell me what your pain point was.
Right.
If something went bad, okay, let's see if we can fix that for the
sure.
future. But I mean, that was a job that I recently, and I don't get every job.
Yeah.
My close rate's pretty high. Generally, at my stage of my career now, if people are calling me about a job, if it happens, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not arrogant. I hope it didn't come out that way.
No,
It's
but
just
you showed
sincere.
your honesty that, hey, I really can't do this, or I
Yeah.
just don't have the time to put into it at this moment. And they feel that feedback from you as well. Like, hey, he actually cared enough to even respond.
Yeah.
So it is,
Yeah.
in that sense, I feel like they probably got a little bit out of that.
And they wouldn't want you to do the job if you weren't going to do it to the best of your ability, too. Like, why would you take something that?
Right.
Because then at that point, you're doing a disservice to the client by taking it without having the capacity.
Right. Yeah, and it was a very unique project. Again, it was a little language barrier as well because it was in Italy, so it's a little bit of an international issue going on. With couldn't really get straight.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Like, darn, can I go to Italy and learn all about this there?
that conversation did come up.
I know. Well, that would have been amazing.
So I guess let's just wrap this whole thing back around with,
Yes.
so work-life balance is obviously the name of the podcast, and we all are still trying to figure that one out. You know, I know you've got a wife and you've got children, and I don't know if you have grandchildren at this point, but there's a lot going on, right?
Really is, yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on how to balance it all? And
Yeah,
what do you
I
do?
thought about that when we spoke about coming and
Yeah.
talking about your podcast. You know, I'm not the most aggressive person. I'm comfortable being me. As I said, I'm Aquarius. I'm the middle son. I'm not the alpha male. Never have been, and I'm comfortable with that. Like I said, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I've always been quick to take the vacation when vacation times are up because I need to download or get off the grid and get away.
Yeah.
Earlier in my career, it probably cost me a lot of money to go and play the golf round, go duck hunting with your dad, go do the fishing trips, and go and do the stuff. And work handled itself. I had a good customer service team, good production team, and it was able to, it all happened.
Yeah.
And so my ability to be part of the work-life balance on the side that's gone on vacation plenty, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die saying I wish I'd gone to Italy. I'm not going to die saying I wish I'd gone to Hawaii. I'm not going to die saying I wish I could have gone duck hunting more.
Yeah.
I've worked hard when it's necessary. You know, I plow the field and I harvest the grain and I make the
sure.
the bread at the end of it. But that was a really great analogy. I don't know if you heard that, but that was
a good one. Did you just
kinda
come up with that like
organic.
that?
I know. And
but
that's
I
the
mean-
thing. He slides them in so smooth.
I was
It's
following that.
it
I'm
just
like, where's he
all
going with
flows.
this one? He's making the bread, too.
I know. I love it.
Well, that's not the first time I've said that. But there's a lot to be said for if I'd have worked like Sharon works, we were talking about it earlier, the 60, 70-hour weeks, I'd probably be retired at 60.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and I don't regret anything. I could have worked harder, could have done a lot of things differently, but I didn't. And so my work-life balance is now I'm giving the company what we're paid for. I'm paid for 40 hours a week, and I'm paid to do a job to help train the sales staff and all. But as soon as I'm done with that, I'm home. I'm in the garden. I'm with my grandbaby. I do have a granddaughter. She's perfect.
She's perfect.
She's 3. Her name is Harper, and she's just lovely. I'm Diddy. I wanted to be. This is total squirrel face.
So cute.
My grandfather's name was going to be Grand Eddie.
Okay.
Because think about old country
Yeah,
folks.
play
we say,
on words.
What's your granddaddy name?
Granddaddy?
Yeah.
Granddaddy. And it came out Diddy, like P. Diddy.
Yeah,
And
so
so
sweet.
I'm Diddy, and I love it.
I love that.
But I'm quick to say, day's done, let's go. I walk around and see the young people sitting there at their desk at 5:15, 5:30, and I say, guys, we pay you for 40, and so it's time for you to go. I appreciate good work ethic. I've worked hard in my career. I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't put in the hours, but I've also not missed much.
Yeah.
So now we split time between Nashville and Bowling Green. So I'm trying to get up there as much as I can to be, again, with my wife. I married her because I love her. I didn't marry her to be apart from her.
Right.
Sure.
Because of her role change and having to be in Bowling Green part of the time. I'm able to take her and go do things. I'm trying to get her to take more of my mentality of work-life balance. CEOs don't get a rest. They don't get much of a break. So
Yeah, there's such a divide there. You have people that, just want to work and feel guilty about the work-life balance. And then kind of your standpoint on it is like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this, and whatever's missed is missed, and I'll come back and get to it.
Yeah,
But,
I don't miss much now.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate side. I will say I'm quick to take off, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm quick to reply. So unless I'm off the grid, where I'm somewhere in the backcountry where I don't have any reception
Yeah.
on my phone, I'm going to answer your email.
For
I
sure.
don't have any unanswered emails on my phone ever. I'll reply and get you an answer and give it to a team member at our office, and we get a reply to our client. I'm not going to miss that, but if I might be doing it from a beach.
Yeah.
I might be doing it from a golf course.
That's okay.
But that's
the
how you've
balance part.
retained your business and kept your relationships. No, we didn't really go into really keeping your relationships from one job to another. But I know that is one thing about you that is very, very impressive, is how you've been able to keep all of your clients through job to job. And that's just very impressive. And that's likely because of your, response time and just how much you care about your clients in general.
Absolutely.
There's a sales training course by a man named Zig Ziglar. I don't know if y'all have ever heard
I
of him.
know Zig Ziglar.
Famous trainer. And at one point in a class right after college, I remember hearing him say, a good salesperson is like a cup of coffee. That cup eventually gets to the top and it starts pouring off the edge. And it's how much can you stand, how much bigger can you get your cup? And that's what I've always said was, I don't want anything falling off the edge. I don't want to miss a job. Mm-hmm. So I just get a bigger cup, or I get a saucer. Or I get a plate underneath it, or a bucket, or whatever. Yeah. But that analogy for me made sense, is that you get complacent. You can get to a point where, okay, I got it going on. I got a lot of work. I'm killing it. I'm going to go take off. No. I don't have time to take off like that. Yeah. Again, I'm quick to play, but I'm going to answer that phone. And that's the good part about the technology you guys have seen in your lifetime. I've seen it in the last 25 years or so, is my office is in my pocket.
Oh, yeah. Most people don't have office spaces anymore.
No,
we were just laughing about that yesterday,
too.
Driving around the neighborhood in here. And we're like, gosh, there's so many cars.
Yeah.
People go to work. And one of the gals said, or maybe it was you, it was like, I think most people just work from their house. And it is true. I mean, you can do most of the stuff from your living room now.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, when I changed jobs back in January to join Communication Components, I told them, I said, guys, I work remote most of the time.
Yeah.
And so does the boss. And the guy that owns places in Ohio every week.
Yeah.
Gone 3 days. He runs the place. And we got 50 employees, and we're doing really well. Mm-hmm. It's able to happen. But again, you reply, you answer, respond. In sales, if you don't respond, somebody's right behind you.
Yep.
That's it.
No, we say that all the time.
Yeah, we do.
You're so awesome.
I know, and all your analogies, they really help. And that's the kind of stuff that sticks with you, though. Like, your grandkids, your kids, I'm sure that they've just held these Eddieisms along with them their entire life. But that's the kind of stuff that sticks in your head. Yeah. And then when you get in situations or you're in front of people or selling or whatever, that's the stuff that you really remember and you hold on to. Yeah. And I just love you. And I know my family loves you so much. But
thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
I will give you one if we're closing up. I will
tell
you're
you,
good. If you ask any of my scouts about any of my quotes, and I have teased boys for decades because they don't change. I don't care what grade level they are. There's two that I guarantee every one of them can quote.
Okay.
If you're going to be dumb, be tough. And the other one is, when that stops hurting, it'll feel better. And every one of them at some point has heard that. They've stubbed their toe, they've twisted the ankle or whatever.
When that stops hurting, it'll feel better.
Yep.
That is so funny.
And
I got 3 boys. I'm going to tell them all that, which I think we already
if
do.
you gotta be dumb, be tough.
You gotta be
That
dumb,
comes
gotta
from
be tough.
my dearly departed grandfather, J.H. Barker. He told me that more than once. I said, if you're going to be dumb, be tough.
Yeah, hey. You can't have one without the other.
And then John Wayne has the other one. I don't quote it often, but it's true. And life is tough, but it's tougher when you're stupid.
That's damn right. That is true.
Y'all can edit those.
No,
we're keeping all of them. We're going to clip all of them, post them individually for you on there.
Eddieisms.
Yes, a whole Facebook just page of Eddieisms just from there.
None of them are original. Truly, none of them. I poached and pinched off everybody. I don't.
The fact that you remember them all blows my mind, because I can hear a joke and then I can't remember it 5 minutes later.
Me either.
Hey, how'd that go again?
Yeah, but I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
I know, but
Well,
you can
communication
remember
concepts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, concepts.
Components. Okay, I got it.
She got it. But thank you so much for coming.
Eddie. We learned so much, and I'm sure our viewers are going to learn a lot of stuff from everything you said today. So
that's fun.
We appreciate your time. And
glad you called. So here's your joke then. You said you can't remember a joke.
No.
You'll be able to remember this one.
Okay.
So Farmer John and Miss Maggie.
Oh, I've heard this one.
We're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Okay.
And Farmer John told Miss Maggie, I'm going to take you to the Opryland Hotel. You can have anything you want. Spare no expense. So they check into the big bridal suite, celebrating their 50th anniversary. He gets the concierge menu and goes down the list, and she said, anything you want, darling. She said, honey, I don't need much. He said, but I've always wanted to have a milk bath. And he said, you got it. So he calls down the room service, gets concierge. I'd like to order my wife a milk bath. Miss Maggie needs one. And the guy said, okay, sir, will that be pasteurized? And he said, no, just past her ass. She can flap it up on her eyes.
Okay, I remember that one. I love that. You knew that one?
I've heard that one. I was told that one last 4th of July, I think.
Oh, funny.
You got to have the flap it up on her eyes part, though.
Flap it up on her eyes.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Too many of those. I think my dad has stolen some of those from you.
Yeah.
He has, but we really do appreciate it. We're going to take a lot of them with us.
Absolutely.
That one I'm going to leave behind, but the others I'll take with me.
You can end it, too.
No, but you're so
Thanks,
funny.
Eddie. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Glad to help.
All right, y'all like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and we'll see you
Till
next
next
time.
time.